what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Life Air Show. I'm your host, Jason Wojo. On the Life Air Show, we help people make more, work less, and live better. I am joined by a special co-host today who's much better looking than Peter, who's much more funny, more entertaining, and insightful, and that is Jacci Conkle. What's up, Jacci?
Poor Peter. Hi.
Oh, yeah. We got to make sure he listens to this. So we are joined on this episode by your student, Lynn Anderson. And she is awesome. She's just an incredible action taker. She has such a positivity around her. She has an aura. She's accomplished and achieved some incredible things. And we're going to kind of dive into some of that in this episode.
Yeah, she really gets it, man. I mean, I'm excited for you to be able to share her story because this is somebody who's an action taker and who's everything that Life in Air is about, right? Just says, okay, this, and then go do it, and this, and go do it. And her life has hit a really nice trajectory in the year and a half that you've been with us. So
yeah, awesome. So hey, let's go right into our interview. Here is Lynn Anderson. Hey Lynn, what's up? Welcome to the Life in Air Show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely, thank you, Wojo.
So for our listeners, I had the privilege of meeting Lynn. I think the first time we met was in when I went Mike Jacci's RIA, right?
Yes, correct. In Minnesota here.
Yeah, Minneapolis. Awesome. And, we hit it off right from the start. You joined the Life in Air program. Jacci, who is also co-hosting this, is your coach. And I'm just, Jacci has just nothing but incredible things to say about you and Mary. And so I want to kind of dive in. I'm curious, like, what are some of the things that you would say like has changed for you since that very first meeting that we had a couple of years ago in Minnesota to today? Like, what are some of the changes that you've made and some of the things that have really made a difference for you?
Well, the biggest thing that I can think of is just my mindset, because back then we had a lot of debt. It felt very heavy. It was very stressful. And matter of fact, it just felt really traumatic. It felt like I almost want to use the word hopeless. It just felt so heavy. When I met you and listened to the Life in Air message, it was as if you were saying Lynn Anderson, Life in Air. I mean, it absolutely spoke to me. And, at the time, it was just felt like, another thing. Can I take it on? But yet it was so spoke to me that it was like, how do I get involved? How do I join? What do I have to do? I will do anything at this point in my life to just jump on this Life in Air message, because like I say, it just spoke so heavy to me. So
talk to me about the debt a little bit. Was this, because tell people what you do for a living. Is this related to your business or is this personal?
Sure. So started into real estate, knew nothing about real estate. I'm actually kind of a coach athlete is my background, and just fell into real estate in 2018. Joined one of those coaching programs that now I hear all about, where don't do it, but one of those very high expensive real estate coaching programs, not even in our state. It was out in Utah. And so really borrowed the money, scraped the money, just the join, and obviously it sounded great. All you had to do was flip one house and you recoup your money, and, you're going to be rich from there on. So, right shortly after that, probably my second or third flip into it, then we had a contractor that took all our money. And so the combination of that 1-2 punch absolutely just spiraled everything down. I was taught never to borrow money. I was taught never to put money on my credit card if I couldn't pay for it. And here I found myself in the largest debt that I've ever been in, broke all my rules, and I just didn't even know how to breathe, really, from morning to morning, and how to get myself out of that debt. So back to the coaching program real quick, they went under. So that's what happened there. They went under, and that program stopped, and so lost the coaching and the money.
And you still had you had the debt still, and right.
Correct. Yes.
Gosh, that must have felt like incredibly like just overwhelming and stressful.
Yeah, it was. It was one of very, very few things in my life that I felt so out of control. And that is one of the worst feelings, where you just wake up every day and you're in this panic stricken feeling of, how can I fix it? How can I fix it? And everywhere I turned to try to fix it, it seemed like it got worse and worse. And so, yeah, it was a tough time.
Yeah, I've had some significant debt myself, and I can tell you, I do not want to go back, because I remember all too painfully what that was like. And, when we talk with people that still have that debt, I try to give them hope. I'm speaking on debt in my church here in a couple of weeks. And they asked me to talk about this because they know I had so much of it. And so I get it. So was that the original thing that appealed to you so much about Life in Air, was like the mastering your finances and getting out of debt? Or was it something else that you felt like really resonated with you?
Yes, for sure. The debt piece in Life in Air had such a large piece of the real estate, expertise in the group also. So it felt like a 1-2 win. But Life in Air spoke too about, like you said, the life piece of it. And prior to my real estate, as I started a business, and I always tell people now, I didn't own the business owned me. My dad owned a business, so that's just what I thought was my destiny. That's what I did. But I look back, he was a workaholic. I never saw him. He worked 6 days a week around the clock. And I fell right into that pattern. So I was just churning and burning and working and grinding and feeling again like, life is just passing me by. And I felt like I lost my identity because I am such a lively person. I enjoy so many other things in life. And if work was just all I was doing, I just felt really unfulfilled, really. So Life in Air spoke to me. I remember the one exercise at the 3-day, I think there was so many powerful things, but when the ideal day, and when you wrote down your ideal day, and I got to dream back to the days where that's what I wanted to do. That's how I wanted to live my life. And then the possibilities that Life in Air said, well, okay, once you're done with that exercise, you guys said, this is possible. And I was like, what?
Right.
And it was just such a light bulb moment. And yes.
So you're talking about your coaching business, right? That you were working so much in, or is it also the real estate? Did that transition over from your previous business and you carried those habits and that work style with you into real estate?
So good point. So yeah, when I owned my business and then switched over to real estate in 2018, I was just doing real estate. Well, a little bit of my business. I didn't own my business anymore. I let that go, but I did have some clients because I had to bring in revenue. So that time was really tough too, because I'm juggling, trying to make enough money, trying to build a new real estate business, trying to learn it. It's brand new to me. So I felt right back in the grind, although I had hope because I really did believe that once I got the real estate business going, that was going to give me more opportunities than ever. So yeah, it was a grind there in the beginning for sure. And I did feel like my workaholic behavior just transferred over to real estate too, so the same patterns, just
different business, same.
Exactly. So, again, that's what Life in Air brought the missing pieces to me, is you can have life and you can have a business. And it was like, wow.
Most of us think it has to be one or the other, right? And I get it. Like because my dad was, I remember my dad would work all day, and he'd come home, take a nap. I guess maybe I realize I'm coming from a family of nappers. He'd take a nap.
Familiar.
Yeah, right. He'd eat dinner, and then he was kind of like off doing his own and more work or doing something else. And so I think we learn this stuff from our parents, or sometimes it's motivated by fear, or we just don't know what the other way is. Is there another way? And so was this one of the first things you addressed when you started working with Jacci?
Yeah, for sure. Is just get life back in what do I want to do again. It's really when you're in that grind and it just takes its toll that I realized I stopped dreaming. I stopped, thinking about the possible trips I wanted to take. I remember growing up, I loved traveling, and from one trip to the next, I would plan. I couldn't wait till the next one. Where am I going next time? How am I going, and you just kind of plotted that way. And now my life was just work. I mean, I just tunnel vision. So now suddenly I can dream again, which was really, it seems odd to talk about, but it just was so deep down that wasn't allowed. That took, Jacci as a coach to kind of bring that back out. Like, no, really, what do you want to do in life? I don't know what I want. Well, come on, you do know, come on, and just kind of bringing it all out. So that was a big piece for sure. And then with the real estate, just kind of keeping me focused. They always said, stay in your lane. So figuring out what that lane is and then staying there, because again, like I alluded to, I like so many things. And especially as I'm learning, I want to learn it all. And
Lynn was a webinar junkie. She was on all the emails she got for every different, like this shiny real estate way, like all the shiny objects. We made her unsubscribe from all the email lists from all the real estate like junk we get, right? Because you get on every list.
Oh yeah, and right.
She was like, she'd spend her entire day on all these different, webinars, and that was what we had to hold her accountable to: is no more webinars. Like, pick your lane, stick your lane, focus on it, and what can you add for marketing, not what can you add for a different, business in real estate. And she excelled at that. She turned it off.
Well, and actually, Lynn, I might botch this, but prior to this, you were a golf pro and a tennis pro. Is that accurate?
Correct.
So, you have a history of excelling in multiple different things. And so I think someone like you, who's very gifted, it's almost harder to narrow it because you can probably make anything work, really. And so I think having all of those options available to you sometimes just becomes more overwhelming and more confusing, because you're like, which one should I pick? Versus somebody who's really just has one specialty that they're excellent at, that they know this is clearly a head and shoulders above everything else. It's a little bit easier for them to focus. But for someone like you, who really, I mean, you're very gifted. It is more of a challenge. How did you make that? How did you choose to do that? And how did you make that a reality? Because this is something a lot of people struggle with. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I'm the one that I'll try anything. So yeah, absolutely. Give me it and I will figure it out type thing. So yeah, no, my coaches, Jacci, had to really keep me aligned. And that's again, kudos to Life and Air. And another thing that you guys help with is that accountability piece. Checking in weekly or monthly or whatever it is, accountability to our group, because we're put into a group and we have retreats. So you now have to speak to the group or your coach. And, as a coach, that's one of my things is, I don't want to let my coach down because as being a coach, I don't, my students, my players,
right.
So yeah, I don't want to be that player, that student that isn't following through.
And so, I guess now you're on the other end. You're like, I have to be a good student. Like, right. So tell me, what does the debt situation look like now? How are you dealing with that? And tell me a little bit about, you mentioned vacations. Like, is that something you were able to kind of get back into? And you mentioned dreaming. What are some of the dreams you've had, and are those starting to come to fruition, or what does that look like? I know I just asked you like 3 questions at once.
I was just thinking, oh my
sorry
God.
about that. Okay. I'm having a hard,
Write those down.
Okay. Well, okay. Trips. Yes. Doing a lot of traveling now, which has absolutely just been wonderful. I think there was 6 trips in the last 5 months, from January to May. I had 6 trips there. And the 7th one got canceled because I was supposed to go to the Masters, which is a pretty prestigious golf tournament. Yeah. And in April, and I had tickets, but they were letting limited ticket holders go. So I go next April, but it just got pushed back a year. So yeah, doing a lot of traveling. The debt, there's still a little debt there, but a lot of it has been paid back, and I'm not having to work like I had alluded in the beginning. I was kind of double grinding there for a little bit. So I'm a personal trainer too, and I just have a handful of clients, and they're all, if I'm gone a week or 2 weeks, they're fine. And I just schedule them as is. I have a key to the store that I used to own, so I can make my own schedule. So that is absolutely wonderful. And that's freed that up. We always kind of dreamed of doing some buy and holds instead of all fix and flips. That was eventually our goal, and we got our first buy and hold in November. So trying to kind of get that passive income. Yes. Going to do more of that. So we're kind of on that other side of the debt side, which just feels absolutely wonderful.
Wow.
Actually, I'd love to interject here if it's possible, because I have a little bit of an intimate knowledge in this part of it. And I know so many people are right where you were, especially all the people who've spent tens of thousands of dollars on the gurus. And so here's the reality of where that was. Lynn blamed herself. She felt like, how can I be, in my age group and feel, and get so duped, basically. She took on all the responsibility, like it was her fault. And she just felt totally out of control. Like you said before, you lost the control. And she was like, how could I fall for this? How could I be in this position? How could I go and, like you said before, break all of my own rules and end up here? How could I be here right now in this part of my life? And we really had to work through between Lynn and Mary, and Mary really supporting Lynn, saying, listen, this isn't your fault. It happens to tons of people every day, and it doesn't mean that you're anything less than who you are. And we really just had to work with Lynn to release that. She had to forgive herself. And it took a couple tries, but finally it was completely released. And when Lynn forgave herself and burned it, literally, and just got rid of all of that feeling of, it's my fault and what did I do, and all the negative self-talk. Once she was able to let that go, she was fully able to look forward to, okay, how can I fix it? What can I do? The positive questions, instead of how could I be so fooled, or how could I make so many mistakes? Because when you ask yourself those questions, now you're coming up with the answers. Those aren't answers that we want. So instead, how can I fix this? How can I overcome this? What else can I do? And she started coming up with just some really great ways to explode her current real estate business. I mean, they partnered in marketing with a realtor that's given them all kinds of benefit, from referral fees with the realtor to deals of their own. And if I'm not mistaken, Lynn, you made more money with less deals and less time over the last year than you did with, the more deals and more time in the year before, right?
Yes, and that was one of the key things Jacci was saying. I remember distinctly sitting down, because we were doing so many, a lot of them for just two of us, right? And Mary's a full-time nurse, and still kind of a beginner at it. And quite frankly, really kind of over our heads a bit there. She looked at us and said, what happens if you did fewer deals and made just as much or more? Oh my God, our light bulb moment, please. Right? Like, sign me up right now. What? How? And yeah, absolutely. Last year, I think we only did 4 total, and we made way more than the year before, which we did, 8, 9 of them. And yeah, it was crazy. So yes. So it works.
That is amazing.
Stay focused.
So I heard, 2 huge things here that I want to make sure everyone listening or watching right now gets is, number one, I heard that the guilt that you were feeling kept you kind of in your own head and you weren't able to think of creative solutions to fix it because you're so busy beating yourself up. You didn't have the bandwidth to really let go of that and think of like, how do I get out of it? So you're kind of marinating a little bit in that. And once you got rid of the guilt, now it opened up your possibility to kind of like, let's look for the solution. So it's kind of like the, instead of looking in the rear view mirror, we're looking out the front windshield now. And the second thing I heard is that more isn't always better. And in fact, you figured out a way to make more with less deals, which most likely meant a whole lot less work, less, all these other things as well. So that's pretty amazing too. And so is this a trend you feel like fits your lifestyle? Is this what you're going to continue? Are you thinking this is a sweet spot for you, or are you going to try to continue to whittle down? I mean, what's next?
Yeah. So less is best.
Less is best. I like it.
Yeah, like I said, we're going to get more into buy and holds and create more passive income. Mm-hmm. So if we can do maybe 2-ish flips a year, and that just allows us some cash flow, right? Still recouping some of the debt. Yep. The debt isn't controlling our life anymore, and it's manageable. But so that feels great. So again, if we can just get a couple flips a year to continue recouping some of that debt, and then get more buy holds and create some passive income. Ultimately, our goal is to get Mary, who's still, like I say, a nurse, where she's not full-time nurse. She's actually has cut her hours down as a nurse, and has found a job not in a hospital but mobile, which also has freed up her time too. So she's made quite a shift that way too.
So yeah, I'm hearing some overlap here with you. You probably know Adrian Smood, who got his wife Erin out of her nursing job. Yes. Now he was doing mobile homes, but this is similar theory of like, hey, the cash flow that we can generate from some income or assets rather, can provide for our lifestyle and get the job to the job optional stage. So tell me a little bit and talk to me about like, why are you so successful? Like, I mean, and I know you're very modest, but you've done some incredible things, not only from your days as an athlete and as a coach, but now through real estate, and you're doing all those other great things. Jacci has mentioned prior to our call, we were just chatting before we started recording. She mentioned that you're like an action taker and you're coachable. Like, talk to me about that and the role you see that playing in your what you've accomplished, what you've achieved.
Sure. Well, yeah, I am a doer for sure. And again, I'm sure that comes back with my dad owning a business and was a doer. Yes, he was a workaholic, and I saw that. But I also learned some just fantastic lessons from him, that, you have to work for what you get. No one's going to give you anything. Nothing's free in this world. And I just saw him tackle and was very resourceful, because we all come across, struggles and issues and troubled times, but he never gave up. And so I think, a lot of that comes from that. And then just as a coach and as an athlete myself, I mean, I learned very quickly that mindset is just such a huge, huge piece as an athlete. I could work on all my skills as an athlete. I can work out in the gym. I can be the best I can that way. But if I did not have a strong mindset, I just wasn't going to perform or be at the top level of the sport I was doing, if it was tennis or golf. As a coach, I saw very clearly, I mean, I would have students, players that skills were awesome, but they did not strive or accomplish half of anything compared to my players that had strong mindsets. Mindset to me is just such the key player in everything, every thread in life. And I actually teach mindset when I got into coaching. As I more and more in the coaching, I studied mindset. I coached mindset. And it's just like I say, such a huge key component. And I just think that has kept me in the game. Like Jacci says, I just won't give up. That's not an option.
So when you say mindset, like I love that term, but it's also to me a little ambiguous. People are like, well, what kind of mindset should I have? What should I be thinking of? What do I need to change? How can I make it happen? Like, what are some of the mindset things you mentioned? Like one of the things you just mentioned, maybe this is a mindset, is I'm just not going to stop. I will do whatever it takes until I'm successful. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what are some of the mindsets that you've seen in common with people that have been achievers and have mastered their art or their sport or whatever it is in their life?
Sure. So a couple of key things to me is, back to your vision, visualizing and believing and knowing and believing that is possible. I had my academy players, my junior players, when I was a golf pro, I had them literally practice their speech as if they won the high school state tournament. And that was part of our lesson. They would come into the store and we'd hit some balls, and then I'd come over. I made fake checks and fake trophies and, presented it and had them work on that and dream that and actually feel it. You have to feel it. You have to have an emotion behind those words. So we, help create that. Another key thing is that you just are a discipline. So you have to teach discipline to me, because again, if you have a skill or what have you, you have to just repeat it over and over. So I developed routines or but lack of better word, just discipline activities for my players. And yeah, it might be boring, but yet that's what's going to take, or they understand that that's what's going to take to get them to the next level. So those were a couple of key things to me: discipline and, vision.
Those are huge.
And we also had, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, Jackie, I was just, yeah.
We had Lynn develop a power move to snap her out of any funk, because in the beginning, she was really good at just sliding back into the funk, right? Or waking up and just feeling like, oh man, like she would just feel heavy. And so we had her develop her power move and, and scream out. And she was able to break that pattern and just kind of reset herself and go forward with some energy. And she's been really great at doing that type of thing. And I would say the other strong thing, not just for Lynn, but really anyone, is, and Lynn has found this, Lynn and Mary are great at bouncing back with each other. So I guess the important part is for neither of them or to both be in the same place at the same time if it's down, but they haven't been. So Mary will recognize when Lynn is maybe having some negative self-talk or just kind of in a slump. And Mary has the ability to kind of give her positivity and snap her out of it, or say, let's get that power move. And Lynn does the same thing with Mary and kind of gets her back on track. And I would say for anyone, if you have someone in your life that you spend a lot of time with who's just speaking negative to you or telling you how you can't do something, or keeping you down, those are the people to try to eliminate, or at least, stand at a distance and find somebody, or hopefully it's somebody, in your home or in a regular part of your life, but have somebody that's constantly recognizing that and taking you up. And Lynn definitely has that with Mary, and vice versa. They've just been really good. And even one of them will call me on the other one and say, Mary really needs to talk to you today. And then we'll get on the call and Mary's like, yeah, I don't even want to be on this call, but Lynn scheduled it. And by the end of the call, everything's up. And so recognizing that in each other, and maybe, if you're in the Life and Air coaching program, maybe it's not somebody in your home life, maybe it's somebody within your group that you can partner and just talk back and forth with, or text and say, man, I'm in the dumps right now, and have that person just reach out to you and bring you up, whether it's your coach or a friend or family or somebody in your Life and Air group. So anyways, that's been something that I've seen really pick up over there in the Lynn and Mary life over there.
Thank you. And one other exercise I always had all my players do, kind of piggyback off that, but I always told them, we had a piece of paper and I told them, I want you to think of your very best friend and they're struggling. I don't know what make up something. They're struggling in school. They're struggling with a relationship. They're just kind of miserable. They're in a bad spot right now. And you have to write them a letter. You're their very best friend and you're going to write them a letter. So they go ahead and write the letter and what have you. And I had them have them read them out and whatever. And obviously they're all positive. You're a great person. You can achieve anything. All these just wonderful accolades, right, in this letter. And then I have them take the name on the top that they addressed it to and change it to their name. Mm. And then I have them keep that letter and I have them in that letter in their golf bag or their tenant, whatever, And anytime they're feeling down, anytime they're feeling in a funk, I have them take that letter out and read it. And those positive words, as you all know, can be so, it can just switch that mind frame, what have you. So I think that's always a powerful thing too. It's back to Jacci says, it's the questions you ask yourself, right? And it can set you up for failure or can set you up for success. So, I've changed my questions. I ask myself, I say positive things. I have my power move, all of those things that continually try to keep you in a positive state of mind. It's very critical.
That's amazing. That's awesome. I love this stuff. Lynn, for those who don't know what a power move is, can you describe that and why you do it and what it is?
Sure. It's changing the state of where you're at, and it's a Tony Robbins thing. And if I'm sitting too long, I wake up, we all wake up and we might feel happy one day. We might feel a little funky. We don't know. We just woke up. We always say we wake up on the wrong side of the bed, whatever that means, right? But it's just changing your state. So mine is I make a fist. I power tap twice on my chest and I point up to the sky, look up to the sky, and I say... Can I say this on this?
Well, we have to bleep this
version. That's our version. We're going to say the PP version today.
What is it? Say the other version because the bad version's in my head.
Unmesswithable.
Unmesswithable.
She framed it to our version.
Yes.
The PG version doesn't sound as fun, but
right. That is awesome. That is amazing.
See, it already puts a face on.
Right? Yeah. Like you changed my state too.
Yeah.
We all feel better now.
Don't mess with Lynn, man.
Don't mess.
That is amazing. And so, Lynn, I love what you guys have accomplished. I love the trajectory you're on. I love your heart. Jacci, I can see Lynn as a life inner coach someday. Quite frankly, she has I think she'd be awesome at it.
She's joined Brian Volk, and then, you've got Beth Volk and Mary also. So the four of them, but Lynn and Brian are the drivers of their Life and Air Connect group in Minneapolis. So they're spreading Life and Air. They're sharing it. They're trying to bring others into what they've experienced in Life and Air. So that's also another accomplishment in her kind of just saying Life and Air has done this and I want to share it with others. So yeah, she's definitely leading the way up there in Minnesota. And
so for those of you who that's the first time you've ever heard about Life and Air Connect, these are local groups that are located all over the country. We have a handful of them, not like 100 of them yet, but they're people that are basically, Lynn, how would you describe it?
Yeah, it's just folks like me that are in Life and Air and want to spread the word. It's a blessing. I am so fortunate that Life and Air and I met you, Wojo, and that I'm part of it and just want to spread the word of Life and Air because, like you said, it really literally has changed my life. It's just been a game changer. And I just started Life and Air. It was funny. We had our Life and Air Connect meeting. It's a once a month. And we just spreading, the stages, the 4 stages of Life and Air. Last month or Tuesday was how to overcome your fear. And we spoke on fear. It was a very interactive group. We do some networking and just creating a community of like-minded individuals that want more out of life. But Tuesday was just so fun and so impactful. And it's just such, like I say, just a true blessing to be able to pass the word on.
Well, anybody that is in your neck of the woods, I'd encourage you to check it out and you get more of Lynn, because she's awesome and you'll benefit from it tremendously and you'll love it. If you want to find out more about Life Interconnect groups, just go to lifeinter.com, and I don't remember the exact URL, but you'll see it on there. Lynn, it is an extreme pleasure to know you, to see what you've been doing. And thank you so much for being on the Life Inter Show.
Thank you so much, guys.
Jacci, that was awesome. Thank you so much for telling me about getting Lynn on the Life Inter Show. I had met her a few years ago, and I remember sitting down with her at dinner, like at the Get a Life event. It was the first time I met her, and she's sitting down. She's telling me how she's like a golf pro and a tennis pro, and she's like talking about I'm like, this woman is amazing. I know. And it was just so cool.
Yeah, and then she went through an injury, and she didn't even talk about that today. But she came out of this injury, and now she's golfing at the very top again. It won't be long before she's taking home the big trophies again. So yeah, she's amazing. How do you even dispute anything she had today? Right.
I think it's just, when I see successful people like Lynn, I try to kind of reverse engineer, like what makes them so successful. And, I heard a few things there that really stuck out to me, and I'm curious what you thought as well. But number one, like she talks about, she just won't give up. And right. she'll make it happen no matter what, no matter what it takes. So she just has this persistence, along with, like, she mentioned discipline as well, of realizing that, this isn't something that is just going to come with no effort or energy or, right. blood, sweat, or tears, but she's going to take the steps necessary.
And she's done that, and she's given it a ton of energy and discipline. And, we have a saying that it's okay to quit. Like if it just gets too hard and you just you're just struggling through that day, it's okay to quit as long as you come back tomorrow. Right. Mm-hmm. You just get to quit for the rest of the day and just give yourself a break, and then get your mind back on track, get back in the flow, and come back tomorrow. Like, just don't quit forever. And so, like right. you said, she's just got that I'm going to keep going until I win. But we all have those days, right? Yeah, where we're just totally down in the dumps. And I don't want anyone to think that Lynn hasn't gone through that. We all do. And she has, but she's just so amazing at just coming back on fire the very next day, and just going out with a mission, right? She knows exactly what she wants. She's got her vision. She keeps it in front of her. And I think that's a really important point. And so she knows where she wants to go. And then she just keeps laying out the plan and revising the plan of how to get there. And they've just done amazing things.
Well, the thing you mentioned too, is she has the plan, she has a vision. And I think what you also said is true. Like it's not a straight upward trajectory for anybody. It's ups and downs. It's bumps and bruises. You're bouncing off the walls. You're going backwards. You're sliding and falling. And what I love she shared was this mindset tip of having to believe that it's possible and seeing it for yourself. So when she told me about that exercise, like we made up fake checks and we made up fake trophies, and you practiced your speech, like, wow, like that's incredible. Like quite frankly, I want to start figuring out a way to use that with our Life Inter stuff, because that's super powerful. And that's what's going to keep you going through the ups and downs. That's what's going to help you develop the discipline to make things happen. Is
having that picture, like it already happened. And so it's easier to grab for when you've envisioned it so deeply that it's real. Yeah. We got to find a way to put all that in.
Yeah. That's valuable. Like, we should have had her as a presenter at the summit here this year. We'll get her next time.
Yeah.
Yep. So listen, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as we did. Lynn is fantastic now. And I hope you really got some gems here, because there's plenty in there. So I got a few things for you left. Number one, Lynn mentioned the Life Interconnect groups, which quite frankly, we haven't talked about on the Life Inter Show before. These are local groups that are they're scattered all around the country. And they are people with a Life Inter mindset coming together to help each other along their journey towards their vision. And as Jacci mentioned and Lynn mentioned as well, the people you are around has a huge impact on your success and ability to achieve things and your likelihood of getting there. And so I'd really encourage you to check those out. If you have one local to your area, go to lifeinner.com. Also, if you're not in a local area with a Connect group, still get on the Life Inner app, because that's a great option as well to be around other like-minded people, to join the community, the conversations, and be part of the awesome things that are going on over there. And lastly, as always, we would love a rating, a review, a comment, and any kind of feedback on how we can make the show better. So until next time, live better, go out there and achieve that vision. We'll see you next time, everyone.
See ya.